some more boxing. I think maybe I should just do my videos, my little live streams like this. I'll be able to talk about more of what I be wanting to talk about. But y'all might not be here to listen to it. But I sit here and talk to myself long enough. People join the conversation. But if not, they don't. I don't really like worrying about what I look like all the time. You know what I'm saying? We trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. Hit the like button as you come on in. Hit the like button as you come on in. You know, just getting on here just to share my thoughts on what's going on. You know, just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we got the Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf trial. You know, and Carmelo Anthony is black. Austin Metcalf is white. You know, and Austin Metcalf and his twin brother. They seen a black boy over there. They seen a black kid over there sitting there minding his business that was set tripping. He was set tripping because he didn't go to that school. He didn't belong there. So they decided to take matters into their own hands and confronted Carmelo Anthony. And they like, move, man, get out of here. You don't belong here. And Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony, he grabbed that shank. No. He didn't grab the shank right away. He said, touch me and see what happened. That's what Carmelo Anthony said. Touch me and see what happened. And then, rest in peace, Joe Rogan. Why would you say some shit like that? Like, my phone would go crazy if Joe Rogan was just died. All of these news people gonna be sending that, posting it out. Like, it would go viral the second that he died. Yep, he's still alive. Shout out to Joe Rogan. But rest in peace to Austin Metcalf. You know, and free Carmelo Anthony. But yeah, you know, Carmelo Anthony, I guess he wanted to go see the game, whatever game that they was playing. Austin Metcalf and his brother, they seen that it was a black boy set tripping at their school. He don't belong there. You need to leave. This ain't your school. And he's like, I ain't going nowhere. He's like, you need to leave. I ain't going nowhere. What did I just scroll up on? Man, you just scroll up on like the next coming of Jesus Christ, bro. Hit the like button. Goal on this live is 10 likes. We talking about Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm Jesus Christ, bro. I'm Muhammad Ali. I'm Martin Luther King. I'm Malcolm X. I'm Jesse Jackson. I'm Al Sharpton. I'm Jay-Z. I'm Kanye West. I'm 50 Cent. I'm Master P. I'm all of these people, bro. I'm Jadakiss. I'm Nas. I'm The Game. I'm Dr. Dre. I'm Tupac Shakur. I'm Big L. I'm Big Pun. Man, I'm Biggie Smalls, bro. He said, whatever, my dude, KFC munching that. Look, everybody. We all as one. We all just want the same, like, God. God is everything, and everything is God. We there was no separation. We're all part of the same unit. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I was talking about like Austin Metcalf getting smoked. He tried to slide on Carmelo Anthony. He tried to slide on Carmelo Anthony. He's seen a little black boy. He's skinny. He's short. And then Austin Metcalf and his brother, they 6 foot, 6 foot tall, 220, 30 pounds. They football players. This dude is a track star. So he should have been a track star that day. Why didn't you run? He didn't run. He must have had problems being bullied or something. Because why did that boy have a knife at that school, man? And I used to have friends that brought guns. Well, they wasn't really my friends, but they was in my class. But I knew a couple people used to bring like guns to school. One dude in my class, he brought it to school a couple times. He still got killed. You know, he got shot in his back. I guess he tried to run, but you got guns at the school though. And then now like you getting shot in your back. What's up with that? You wasn't ready, but you carried to school, but you ain't have it on the streets. I remember seeing his empty seat in classroom like the rest of the year. And it was just so weird seeing him every day. And then like all of a sudden, he just didn't never come to school again. Cause we knew what would happen. But it's just strange. You still kind of expect people to be there. You know, hit the like button. Goal on this live is 10 likes. This guy not Travis, bro. He he's Trav, isn't? Never mind, that was corny. Very corny. You should hit the like button for saying that corny stuff right there, man. You know? But like, yeah, man. And so Austin Metcalf, right? Man, imagine that with your kids though. Let's look at in the eyes of Austin Metcalf's family. Your kids went to school, you sent them to school and then like something happens and now you only got one kid coming home now. You know, you got one kid coming home instead of two. Like you lost one of the twins. And then but I would be pissed though. If my child lost his life because he was over there messing with somebody that was minding their business, man, that goes against everything that I like, was trying to teach you growing up. Leave people. I bet they didn't tell their kids to mind their own business. Leave people alone. You know, why is you messing with this boy, man? You know how kids is though. They like to pick on the other kids, especially they didn't size them up. He by himself and both of them is bigger than him. And y'all mean to tell, and then they physically like attacked him, and then you try to tell me that that's not self defense. Hey, let it been a little 5'10", 130 pound white boy, and it was two 6 foot tall football players that was 230 pounds, and they were saying, "Leave! You gotta leave! Leave! This isn't your school. Leave!" It was like, "I ain't going nowhere." It's like, hey, I said leave. You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. I ain't going nowhere. It's like, hey, I told you to leave. You not gonna leave? Like, touch me and see what happened. And then this is the white boy telling the two black kids that's 6 feet tall and 230 pounds. And they weigh, both of them outweigh the white kid by 50 pounds. at least 50 pounds. And they like about 2 or 3 inches taller than them. And then the black kids, one of the black kids goes for this kid's bag, and then the other black kid grabs the white kid. The white kid, who had already said, "Touch me and see what happened," he take a knife out of his backpack, stabs one of the black kids in the chest. I think he hit him in the heart or something. All it took was just that one stab, and now one of the blacks is dead. Now y'all know damn well that if that would have happened, that white kid would get self-defense. There would be no trial. There would be no murder. It'd have been self-defense. We wouldn't even look too much far into it. It might have been a little bit of outrage on the, with them playing it on the news once or twice, and then, maybe not. It wouldn't have been nationwide news. And that's kind of what the problem is. With the Carmelo Anthony and AustinMetcalf situation. You know, that's what the problem is, because if that was a white kid defending himself from two bigger black kids who were like, I don't want to say bullying him, but they had already sized him up and seen like he was by himself and he's smaller than them. And I mean, they kind of know in their mind like he's doing something that he's not really supposed to be doing. He done snuck into our school. Let's make him leave. You know, let's make him leave. In their mind at that moment, they thought bully. They was thinking like, I'm in control. I call the shots. I am in charge of this track and field wherever we was at. What I say goes. If I say move, you gotta move. If Carmelo Anthony got a good lawyer, yeah, but then it's a white jury. They got an all white jury. They really trying to line them up. It's sad, man. They struck all of the black jurors and everything, but if yeah, man, I don't know. I think they just lining them up. You know, him with him being black dude. It's over, bro. You know, even the jury even get to determine his sentencing too. That's some new stuff too. I like that though. They just did that in the Fulio trial. And the jury found the defendants guilty, but then the jury they got to determine whether the killers got life in prison without parole or they got the death sentence. And they unanimously voted for guilty, and then they unanimously voted for the life without parole. They spared the guys. You know, trans are different persons. Same like carried west, tried east. Different people, blacks and small people. What is you talking about, bro? You know, I think the autistic kids done woke up. High wisdom. You can't even write a proper sentence, and you have the nerve to name yourself wisdom. You should be ashamed of yourself, bro. Wisdom is mine. You ain't even making no sense, bro. how could you? How could you have any wisdom? You didn't make no sense, bro. But So yeah, I kind of like that the jury imposes the sentence instead of like the judge. I wonder how that'll go with the if it's just life though. Cause I mean we've seen like in Florida for whatever they was convicted of, the second degree M, you know, something like that. It was either life without parole or it was the needle, you know. But like in this case, it sounds like the jury is gonna be able to decide like, okay, whether he's looking at 5 to 15 years, 15 to 20, 20, 20 to 30, or maybe even 40, 50. Texas got some pretty harsh sentencing, like from what I've seen in cases that I've saw different, figures over the years. You know, Texas is one of those states where they'll lock you up, throw away the key, and forget about you. You know, forget you even exist. And man, you done killed the white boy. Like, I be hating to sound like I just know how things work. I don't want to sound like a COONE. I mean a COON, you know, but like bro, we just have to accept life, reality and things for what they are, bro. We don't have the same rights as white people. So we got to really be careful because they might be able to take us out in self-defense, you know, but we can't take them. We can't take them out in self-defense. They're going to arrest us and charge us with a first degree M, you know, for the same charge that they would have let this white person off for. And then I mean, if you a genuine good person, right? Then you kind of like you don't have this negative outlook on life because you're a good person. So you expect all of us to have like equal rights. You know, all of us to follow the same rules. But it's not like that. You know? It's not the same. They'll lock us up and throw away the key for something that they'll excuse white people doing. I mean, it's not right, but this is reality. So you gotta watch yourself. You know, you can't live the same way as white people. Look, my neighbor downstairs, he could be down there smoking crack every day. And like, man, if I call the police on him and say I think he's smoking crack, they gonna investigate me. But if he call on me, they gonna investigate me. I don't know what he doing. But that's the point. I've caught him spying on me. So he's worried about what I'm doing. I'm not really worried about what he's doing. But let me call a landlord and say I think he's doing something down there that he shouldn't be doing. You know, I think he's on drugs. They gonna investigate me. They gonna start coming around more often. They gonna really want to find a way to get rid of me. So look, look. I was just at the fire department the other day. If I was minding my business on live, I got surrounded by police, and they God, you know, thank God they allowed me to leave when I realized, hey, this is kind of strange, because they could have been like, hey, they just let me leave. They probably got a call and didn't want to lock me up, but we're gonna have to because I'm still at the scene when they got there. But had I been a 19-year-old white girl sitting at the fire department on a bench streaming on my phone, I wouldn't have been surrounded by police. Nobody wouldn't have called on me. Why? I'm not bothering anybody. I'm not on drugs, and I'm minding my business. What up, Marco? Hit the like button. Goal on this live is 10 likes. So you don't really want to be out here, man. The game is rigged. The deck is stacked. You don't want to be out here lacking, thinking that we all got the same rights. You know, one thing that scared me like the most is like black dudes with license to carry, and they run around with their guns in a holster or like open carry or something because they know that this is legal. Like, bro, the police they ain't looking at you like you a licensed carrier. They looking at you like, man, just man, let me find a way to kill him and get away with it. He has a gun. He has a gun. A gun. You just a chimp with a gun to them. You know, running around here like you the damn sheriff. Gun to you. I seen a dude like that. He jumped out a nice whip too. He jumped out a nice Jeep, something. You know, and he had a big gun on him. I was like, man, did somebody send this guy to get me? This is it. I seen it. I'm looking up at him as I'm walking by. But man, yeah, white person. I would have just. He could have even been a cop himself, off duty, detective or something. But yeah, man, he gonna mess around and get smoked. They put a gun to Terrence Crawford head. The police put they guns to Terrence Crawford head because he's a licensed carrier. He's licensed to carry, and he had his gun in his door. You know, they knew who he was. He the most famous person to ever come from their city. How could you not know who he is? And how could you not? And he just came off of a fight that 50 million Americans watched. You can't tell me, and he's from your city. You can't tell me you don't know who he is. They still put a gun to his head. Found a reason to pull him over. Put a gun to his head. Forced him out of the vehicle. Even all of that money, he had just made $50 million. See what I'm saying? So it ain't, you can't just, if you become rich, then somehow you won't be treated as like Carmelo Anthony. It happens to black people on every level, from like Terrence Crawford level all the way down to Carmelo Anthony's level. So you gotta really just stay out the way. You know, that's all you. That's what you gotta do. If you don't stay out the way, you gonna get got. You know, I mean, Carmelo Anthony, he was carrying that knife to protect himself from the ops. I know what it's like to feel like you need to carry a weapon to protect yourself. We all need to carry weapons to protect ourselves. You know, because you might have some kids like Austin Metcalf and his brother that's gonna look at you and size you up and know that you smaller than them and you by yourself, and feel like they want to take it up in their hands to force you to do something that you don't want to do. It's raining. You don't want to go back in the rain. You got epilepsy, and they don't care. They gonna force you to do what they want you to do, and if you don't do it, then they gonna put their hands on you. Hey, he didn't want to run that day. They said he did track and field. You know, he was smaller than those football players. So he know how to run, but he didn't want to run. He wanted to defend himself, and that's his right. And he only stabbed the guy one time, just once. You know, just a little skeet skeet, just to back up off me. You know what I'm saying? Get your hands off of me. Pow! Now, we see these police officers, man, they they'll pop you while you standing up, and they be like, show me your hands, don't move. And then they'll shoot you like 3 more times, you know, 4, 5 more times while you laying on the ground. You ain't no threat. And they initiated the encounter. But they said we can't do it though. You know, we can't provoke. They be doing exactly what Chud the Builder did. The police. Cause then they had every right to come and bother you. You know? And then now they shooting you. It go from like them investigating, coming while you was minding your own business, and now things done escalated, and now they're shooting you. You know, that's what the police do. Judge the Builder just thought he was the police. He thought he had those same rights. And yeah, man, I don't blame him. I used to carry knives around with me. I used to have them like clipped to my pocket, like my right pocket, so I can grab it real quick if I needed it. And and honestly, I did have that attitude, like I mess around and find out. Uh, don't know if I should stay or leave. Don't like this topic. Too much bias. Typical white America. Well, maybe you should leave then. If you don't like it, you know. And hey, it is what it is, man. Some of us like to live like in, you know, like with blinders on and not really like pay attention to what's going on. What you mean, stay or leave? You black in America. This is something that we got to deal with, man. We need to survive out here and not go to prison. That's a big problem. Not being able to leave a house, like without somebody bothering you, and then not being able to defend yourself either. That is a major problem. You know? Yeah. So basically, Carmelo Anthony was supposed to, take a butt whooping from these kids that wasn't minding their own business. See what I'm saying? Look, I'm over here minding my business. You come over here and confront me. And now you're physically grabbing me. And it's two of y'all, and y'all bigger than me. So I'm wrong for trying to my best to defend myself. Look, this is reasonable force. Deadly these dudes is like a combined 100 pounds bigger than this kid. You see what I'm saying? I'm like 50, they was like 50 pounds each heavier than them. So combined 300 pounds, they way bigger than this dude. If they was to like jump him and stump him out, he could have died. So physically assaulting him is but then that's kind of tricky though, because we don't need no kids going to school with no knives, like waiting for somebody to put their hands on them, and then so because they got a knife in the backpack that they gonna pull out and they gonna stab the other kid with. See what I'm saying? So it's tricky. We can't be blinded just because he's young, you know, and this and that. Yeah, we definitely don't need that. Cause I mean, I used to carry knives around, like I said, and like I had the attitude like I hope somebody do mess with me because I'm a kill 'em. You know, that's what my attitude was. Well, not really kill him. I wasn't. My attitude wasn't kill him. It was my attitude was I'm gonna stab him. But a lot of times people die from these stabbings. You know, uh, I was really like anxious to like stab somebody. So if he was anything like I was, I say not around that age. I think it was around like my 20s, like 25 to 35. I used to like carrying knives. Uh, Kids already have knives and guns. Not many though. You don't want to send a message that is they might be hiding them in a bag, but like if he beats this case, right, that's just gonna encourage more people to carry knives to school and guns to school, you know, and be willing to use deadly force on another kid if they're about to get beat up. Cause that's probably what was gonna happen. Be for real. He was set tripping. He was at their school. They decided that, they was gonna make him leave. And if he didn't want to leave, and they knew in their mind, like, I'm gonna make him leave, and if he don't comply, then I'm gonna beat him up. Just like when the police come and confront you for some criminal activity, police gonna confronting you about the criminal activity with in mind, like if you don't comply, I'm gonna kill you. That's what the police are thinking. I'm gonna take your life if you don't comply. And these kids, they were like, we gonna make him leave, and if he don't leave, we're gonna beat him up. We know that we always reserve the right to beating him up if he don't do what we want him to do. Right? We know that he's bigger than us. Now let's just think if he was sitting there with a AR-15, Carmelo Anthony. If he was sitting there with an AR-15 with the clip in it, and he had another clip sitting right next to him, and they didn't have no gun, and he just sitting there with the AR like at their school, you know, aiming it at the sky and looking at it, would they have came over to him and said, you need to leave right now, and then put their hands on him? Would they have done it? If they seen that AR-15 when he was sitting there by himself? No, they wouldn't have. They would have called the police, wouldn't they? They would have told the teacher, wouldn't they? If they really wanted him to leave and they was outgunned, then they would have called the police or told the teacher, or they would have just left and they would have got away from him real fast. But he didn't have an AR-15. He was a smaller kid who was shorter than them, and he was by himself, and they knew they had more muscle than him. So they decided to test it. They decided to try it because they knew that he was outgunned. And if he didn't comply with what they wanted him to do, they were going to force him physically, like assault him, beat him up, grab him, whatever they needed to do, because they felt like he was outgunned and they was wrong. That knife changed everything. And see what I'm saying? So it's kind of tricky, like on one hand, say like, yeah, kids shouldn't be bullying other kids, But on the other hand, we don't need these kids coming to school with every single kid in America going to school with a knife and being willing to stab like, you know, other kids if, you know, they about to get beat up. Cause there's a lot of fights and a lot of kids fighting each other in school, you know? So, I mean, what do? We give Carmelo Anthony self-defense because he was outgunned, you know, and he was scared, or we fry him for the sake of the country, for the sake of the community, because we do not need all 17-year-olds coming to school strapped up with knives and guns, ready to slide on the ops, you know? Because, hey, if my son was with his brother and he went to go tell another kid to leave his school because he didn't belong at their school, and then the kid say, "No, I'm not leaving," and then, you know, my son tried to physically remove this other kid from like the school, and then that kid pulls out a knife and stabs my son, and my son die. I'm gonna have a problem with that. I'm gonna have a big problem with that. I'm gonna be like, what is he doing with a knife at school? You know? Damn. He couldn't just run or call for help or tell a teacher or something. You know? Yeah. I mean, you was defending yourself, but damn. You really could have ran. I got jumped once when I was 17. It was a horrible experience. And you know, like, I didn't run, but I kind of wish that I did. I seen them approaching me like after school, and I knew we had a problem, but I thought that I could talk my way out of it. But they didn't want to talk because he was jealous, broke, dusty dude. I had a job, so I'm always got new clothes. He figured I'm smaller than them, you know? I'm smaller, and they got more muscle. So I really should have been able to defend myself with deadly force. I took some punches, a lot of punches. I didn't hit the ground, so I had some pride from that. But my jaw was hurting for like a couple weeks, you know? But they was bullying me and jumped me after starting a issue with me for no reason while I was minding my business, you know? But I wasn't carrying no knife so that I could stab the person. But I kind of wish that I did. And if I had pulled out a knife and I stabbed these bullies and killed one of them, I feel like I should be justified with that. But I'm not. I'm not. If I was to pull out a knife or a gun definitely a gun. Yeah, you going down. But I don't feel like I should have went down with the amount of, like, you know, damage that I took from these big football players. You know, they was football players too. And I was a smaller kid. I think that a person that, if they take that type of damage, like a type of beating from somebody. Now I'm not like saying that I got beat down bad, but I did kind of take some shots. They was all bigger than me, and they was on every side of me, front, back, left, right. Only person I can fight is the one in the front of me. Then I'm getting hit on the side of my head, in the back of my head. I should be justified in using deadly force, even before it got to that point. Once I took the first punch, I'm 150 50 pounds. All of these dudes is 200 pounds and up. I should have been able to. Had I did that, would I be on trial for murder? Well, I might have got away with it if I wouldn't have said touch me and find out. But I probably would have. Just because I didn't want to use deadly force, I would have said, like, touch me and find out. Touch me and see what happened. And then, they hit me, and then boom, I pop them with this knife. Then what? Now I gotta go to prison for life? Something don't seem right about that. You know? Carmelo Anthony shouldn't have had to wait to take a beating to use deadly force. But like I said, that's a slippery slope though. We definitely don't need those kids running around with knives ready to stab each other up. Or do we? That's another issue right there. Should kids be able to protect themselves with deadly force if they're attacked by other kids? Because, man, some of these kids are bullies. They know that they're bigger than you, and they will cause problems with you. They'll try to fight you. They'll beat you up. They'll try to take your property from you, your lunch money. Everybody know about getting your lunch money took, right? Everybody know, like, I'll stuff you in the locker. You could only do that to elementary kids, but I'm just saying. Well, no, they got big lockers too for the high school kids. But should kids be able to use deadly force to protect themselves? Because honestly, in that moment, yo, I feel like I should have been able to, you know, barely, like, I can't even eat right, you know, without my jaw hurting. Because these kids done, like, beat me up. You know what I did, though? I didn't do nothing back that, like, I just plotted on I plotted on murdering the person that, like, that started the trouble with me. Like, that's what my plan was. And I was just gonna wait some years for it to die down. And I just stalked him. His name Travis Williams, you know. And I just stalked him, like, especially when the internet came out, like Facebook, then it helped me. MySpace, it helped me. And I'll just see, like, make sure he's still living in town. I'm saying, like, the area where he live at, or I'm just watching him, and I'm watching him, and I'm plotting until I save up enough money where I can kind of sneak back in town, because this is before, like, facial recognition, like doorbell cameras, uh, camera phones. Like, you could really get away with some stuff back then. And I was just plotting. I was gonna wait, and then I was gonna do it. And then, like, about 5 years after it happened, he jumped me. Then I was like, I was about to go through with it, but by this time, he had, like, a daughter, and he was in her life. Really, that's the only thing that really saved him. You know, 'Cause, I mean, I had my mind set on doing this because you did me wrong, and I wasn't bothering you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't do nothing to you. You know, and but then, like, I seen the pictures of him with his daughter on the internet. And, like, they look like he was a good dad, and I just decided not to do it. But I had already done. I had a car. I had, like, some money, that I had done saved up where I can kind of, like, I can get it done. And I wouldn't be expected because it was 5 years ago. You know, and I told him too. After I had decided not to do it, I told him that I was gonna do it. And just the fact that you and your kid's life is the only thing that saved. That is why I didn't do it. I wanted him to know. I plotted on you ever since then. You know, I just decided not to go through with it. You know, but I feel like I should have been able to use deadly force at that moment. You know, man, I'm glad he was just a random, he wasn't a random thug in the street. I'm glad he did have a kid, bro. It was there for his kids, you know, and gave me a reason to like not go through with it. You know, what if I would have got caught? What if I still would have got caught? Somebody would have seen my car or something, you know, or somehow identify me. Woo, man. Yeah, but yeah, man. I definitely wouldn't want my son to get beat on like I did, you know, in that situation. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want my son to get beat on like that, and by like kids bigger than him ganging up on him. I feel like my son should be able to murk your kid in that situation that I was in. Now it was four of them instead of two, you know, but I don't want my kid getting murked. Whether he was being a bully or not. Yeah, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. But look, yeah, man. I think he's well within his rights in carrying a pocket knife though. You know? And like if he decides to like pull out that pocket knife and stab you, you know, let's just not feel sorry for either party because they get kids or whatever. Just like your kids want to decide to bully somebody else's kid, then like they should be able to defend themselves with whatever force that they got. You know what I'm saying? Because the beating that I took, I feel like deadly force is appropriate for that, and I shouldn't have to wait to take that beating to use deadly force. You know, I should be able to stop it. You know, at the end of the day, you know, definitely. I'd be ready to use some deadly force if like somebody kids beat on my kids, like how I got beat up. Oh yeah, me as a parent, I'm gonna be about ready to use deadly force on your kids, and I don't care if it's self defense. I know it ain't self defense. I'd be ready to slide on your kids. If not, go and beat them up. I'm a grown man beating up these kids. You know, those kids would be justified to pulling out something on me, right? So why is your kid justified into attacking my kid? You know, why can't my kid pull out nothing on them? Mhm. Carmelo Anthony was right. It's ugly. It ain't the type of situation that we want to go through. But he was right. Don't nobody want to get their ass whooped, man. Why y'all think we can't get no fights? We can't get the fights that we want to see because don't nobody want to get their ass whooped, bro. You know? That is not a fun experience. Not all fights are equal. This dude was way smaller than those two dudes. So just even if it was one on one, you scared as it is. If it's one on one, you a kid too, and this kid way bigger than you. He a football player. You a track star. You know, you already scared if it's one on one, but two, man, you terrified, bro. And he should have. He was right. I mean, we still will have to like preach to the kids: no weapons. Don't bring no weapons to school in the future. No knives, no guns, no tasers, pepper spray, nothing. If we catch you with any weapons at school, you know you're gonna be suspended. They're gonna be taken from you, and you're gonna be suspended. We'll still have to preach that to the kids, you know. But in this situation right here, we need to just kind of like, you know, Let it go, bro. Sending him to prison for the rest of his life ain't gonna bring that kid back. Your son was trying to be a bully. He could have been like one of the kids that like beat up. He could have beat up this kid how I was beat up. You know, because they did me the same way. But you know what I did? I mean, I didn't run though. That was the way that I kind of kept my pride. I wasn't strapped with no weapon, no knife or no gun. But and even when I seen them walking, I was already leaving the school and I was across the street and I seen them, they was calling me. And then I looked back and I seen like four of them walking towards me. I stopped walking and turned back and was walking towards them, you know, and I just kind of like thought I was could talk out my way out of it. And then they just start hitting me, you know. And I felt like I still had some of my pride because I didn't run, you know. He wanted to keep his pride by like stabbing one of them, you know. But we well within our rights with stabbing somebody, right? A lot of people carry around knives for self-defense. I think they gonna have a wake-up call if like somebody try to beat them up and then they pull out that knife and stab them. Cause a lot of people feel like they can use knives for self-defense. You know, you can use guns, why not a knife? But almost always they try to act like you had some kind of malicious intent or something. Yeah. But guess what? I think one thing that Carmelo Anthony didn't realize, you know what I'm saying, was that like you black, bro. They about to fry Chud too. They about to fry Chud too, man. This dude, they got people, they done made the bond. You got multiple people trying to pay the bond. You know, but you provoked this attack and then you pulled out the blick, you know, and shot him. So it's kind of like the same thing. Even though with Chud, he went looking for trouble and then he provoked the attack knowing that he got the gun on him. See, I had to be careful when I was in LA not to do that, you know, because I used to wear like gold chains. I have Jordans on. So I had the newest iPhone. I had Ray Bans. You know, I looked like I had money. And yeah, you know, if you call me, yeah, I might have some cash on me. And I had to be careful, but I used to carry this taser gun with me all the time. And I had to like be careful because like I don't want to make these people out here on Skid Row want to come rob me, knowing that I got the blicky on me. I got the tazy on me. But and I'm a tase them. Let alone if somebody had a gun. I never even really thought about that. I would felt very safe with my little taser. But yeah, Carmelo Anthony was right, man. You know, he shouldn't have to take no beating by these two boys way bigger than him. You know? But it ain't gonna matter though. Because you black, you killed like you took out you took out a white kid, case closed, bro. I mean, I think like if I was 17 or 18 years old, you know, I would have thought that I could get away with that. You know? I really would have. Cause I think that you deserve to, bro. You know? That shit was wrong that I went through, man. That's why I was plotting on them for so long. You know? I just gave him a pass. And then I told him like 5 years after that, or 10, maybe 5. that I was gonna plotting on him. You know, I wanted him to know. I don't care how you feel about it. I was serious. And he tried to be my friend after that. You know? He tried to be my friend. Like, after I told him, he was still like trying to be cool with me. I don't know if like I scared him or what. Or maybe he was like, nigga, you don't play with me like that. You know, whatever. I don't know. But he was trying to be my friend. And I didn't want to be friends. I just wanted you to know. And you would have never saw it coming. He would have never saw it coming because he wasn't even thinking about at that stage in his life. He wasn't even thinking about me no more. So that's why you got to be careful who you make angry. Because some people, like, they'll hold grudges and they'll wait and they'll wait and just wait on you and wait till they can get you, until they got you where they want you, and then get you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. You know, they plotted on you and they was patient. You know, and you done forgot about it and you fucking having the time of your life somewhere. Man, that's when they gonna come and get you, because they was waiting for you to let your guard down, and you did, and boom. Game over. But you know, that's kind of messed up to want to give somebody life in prison because they said touch me and see what happened. You know, hit the like button. Goal on this live is 10 likes. Y'all don't never do hit the like button though. Am I saying it wrong? Why, like, Kingsley Safaro was in here, dropped a comment. Lucky Belafonte in here. Marco Hempel was in here. Wisdom is mine. He was in here. In Definitional was in here. Pasty was in here. Like, why did none of y'all hit the like button but one person? Even if you was just gonna leave. I mean, am I not making no sense? Like, why is it 10 people up in here that didn't talk to me? You know, but only one like. I know it's more than 10. It was just 10 that done said something. Man, shit crazy. How do I say hit the like button? Can you please hit the like button? What? Maybe I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, man. You gonna give him life in prison because he said touch me and see what happened? So he gotta wait for you to touch him, and so he can show you what he's gonna do, and that's okay. To giving like doing an unprovoked attack, would that be okay? I mean, if he had to say touch me and see what happened, that wouldn't. So that wouldn't be the thing that'll take away self defense. So now we move to like them grabbing him or punching him and then pulling out the knife and stabbing him before they even knew that you had a knife. Is that okay? I used to think that that was okay, you know? And I'm not too sure now. I didn't know the law too much back then. So I'm glad I didn't stab nobody while I didn't know the law, you know? Hey, you know what? Hey, y'all see how I've been like talking about this little trial and we just going on and on? You know, like people will do this for hours and hours and hours, bro. Like live streaming. I don't know if they're just trying to build their channel, you know, and they liking the engagement that they getting. But it be weird, bro. Like, man, 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours. Bro, what? What is man, what's going on? Yo, and they'll just constantly be talking about like these Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney, Javante Davis, just forever, bro. It'd be weird, and they be steady talking about boxing. They don't lead a conversation how I do. Like it's kind of like on some normal stuff. You talk about boxing, we talk about something else, but like talk about boxing, like 5 hours straight, man. Come on, man. You gotta like force yourself to like stick on subject, right? I mean, you can't be thinking about no damn Shakur Stevenson for no motherfucking 5 hours straight. Yo, what's going on with people, man? At some point, you had to like stop yourself from thinking about outside things. You know what I'm saying? Different things or something. Yeah, yeah. Karmelo Anthony is cooked though. At the end of the day, bro, that nigga's fried. You know, he should have been cool. And doing all that, but basically, like, the white people ain't finna tolerate that shit, bro. Like the worst thing that to happen for white people, like, is to see another white person get killed by a black person, bro. They don't look at it like self defense. They look at it like a black person taking they a white person's life. Like, dude, you. I mean, white people honestly value the lives of dogs more than black men. Like, if somebody dog is walking down the street, somebody just kick it real hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, there will be a big outrage if once the video surface on the internet, you know, for the dog. But this black guy, he was minding his business. The cops done, you know, and shot him up, you know, and nobody cares. See what I'm saying? So they already don't care about, they care about an animal's life more than your life. And then you go and take one of their lives. Even if you was defending yourself, they don't just look at you like you the bad guy, you know? But yeah, you see how like I'm steady talking about this? Like, what if I was just steady talking about this for like 3 hours? You know, 5 hours. Oh man, but this is more real life stuff instead of like, you know, sports. But that shit seemed weird as fuck, bro. Niggas be weird. Some niggas be cooking though too. Yeah. The sun done came up. I'm glad I'm not on a camera. I would hate to have to look at myself right now. I don't look that bad though. My little tank top on, my little chain on. You know? But be hating to look at them damn gray hairs in my head, man. That's really what I don't want to look at. Ain't nobody want to see that. I'm getting tired of like dyeing all my hair all the time. So I'm just like leaving it too. So what's the ninja to do? I guess like if I wanted to stay live for like 8 hours, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's my prerogative. But I don't know, man. I think like with me, it's different. The rules don't apply to me. They apply to everybody else. You know, y'all are the weirdos. Um, I'm not really like, yeah, yeah. If I did like a 7 hour live, bro, unless I went to sleep or like that's crazy, bro. I think I done did it before though. Ninjas done went to sleep and they was like and woke up and was like, "You still on?" I'd be like, "Man, what the fuck you talking about? This is my page. I can stay on as long as I want." I'm like, okay, okay. And they just wonder why you're still up. Yeah. Um. Yeah, man. So yeah, that was the show. You know, tune in Mondays through Thursdays. 7:30. Yeah. All right, man. I'm Travis Gotti. Thank you for tuning in to Travis Gotti Boxing. I mean, hopefully I made some points in this video. I made some sense. We had some kind of show, like, early up into it. I'm just sharing my thoughts on like what's going on, you know. But I think that Carmelo Anthony is cooked, man. You know? I'll just share my thoughts on what's going on in the news, man. I mean, I felt some type of way. I feel some type of way. I think that they should. I mean, they. I don't want to see them send that boy to prison, man. Cause I was him, bro. Like as an adult, you wouldn't want to get jumped by two people bigger than you, and you would be justified for using deadly force. You know, I think they should let him go. I think they should let him go. If he was like a bully, like himself, and he was big and had a bad reputation, then no. But this kid, I think they should let him go. You know, because I remember feeling that fear, and I remember taking that beating. You know, that he was about to take, especially if he would have fought back. Just think when they grabbed him, if he would have like, hit one of them, hit the one that grabbed him. Oh man, they was finna pound him out. No Diddy. They was about to pound him out. Man, they was about to beat him down. Pause. Hey, if he would have hit one of them after they grabbed, man, and he shouldn't have to. He shouldn't have to take that type of punishment, that type of pain. You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't have to take no beating. Because like some kids decided to be desperados. They wanted to act like they was the police or act like they had some kind of authority. and decided to come over to him. That's sometimes you gotta leave people alone. That costed that boy his life. That costed both of them their life. See what I'm saying? Look, them white boys, uh, them white boys' inability to mind their business costed one of them their life. Austin Metcalf not being able to mind his own business costed him his life. You know? And that's just what it is. You know? Mind your own business. Leave people alone. Get out people's face. Don't confront nobody. Don't try to tell nobody what to do unless you're authorized to wherever you work or live. You know? And don't put your hands on nobody. How hard is that? You know? And he just decided to do all of that. He decided to confront somebody he didn't know. He decided to try to tell somebody that he didn't know what to do. And then he decided to physically attack somebody that he didn't know. And he effed around and found out. Hello, do you remember? What up? What up? I'll remember that you didn't hit the like button. Goal on this live is 10 likes. Can you help me reach my goals? Can you help me accomplish my goals? What am I supposed to remember? So yeah, bro. Mind your own business. Leave people alone. Stop snitching. Cause you know they was prepared to snitch too. Look, yeah, so you got you got him outnumbered, right? You gonna beat him up if he get out of line, but you know that he don't belong there, so you can still call the teacher too. They're on your side. They was trying to slide on them all the way around. It's day school, so you don't belong here. We can snitch on you too after we confront you. That boy took their ass out. Thank you. Look, bro, I ain't never been that type of person, man. I ain't never. That's why I ain't never been that type of person. You know, like far as going bothering people on some stuff that ain't my business. You know, I ain't never and trying to tell people what to do. Hell no. So that would have never happened to me. A ninja would have never been able to like pull a knife out on me and or a gun out on me and pop me or stab me. You know, cause I went over there bothering them, thinking that I was tough. You know, and then like messed around and found out. That would have never that's why that never happened to me. You know, that'll never happen to me. You know, as far as you minding your own business, man, if you minding your own business, man, I'm with that. I'm all for that. I promise you, you ain't gonna have to, man, we ain't gonna have to deal with each other, man. And like even if we accidentally have a little disagreement exchange, like I mean you was pulling out and you didn't see me. You almost hit me. Like we can get past all of that. Long as you don't be like snapping like the fuck out of here. Like, you don't act crazy, man. Like I ain't gonna act crazy with you. We can we you can We can accidentally bump into each other walking by. All that. Oh, my bad. You know, I ain't mean to do that, bro. My bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry about that, bro. My fault. You know? But a person would never have to worry about like defending themselves against me. Like if they was just minding their business. It's only if they like kind of jump into it. Then like some things might start happening. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, man, it'd be crazy, man. How easy you can die, bro. Man, I done been in some bad situations. And then it came close. Mm. Man, man. And that ain't cool. Mm. You know, being on here feel a little bit different than being on there. I done got used to on here. I feel like rushed to say something. Like you need to wrap it up or constantly like be active, talk. But on over there streaming, it'd be just like you could sit there and play the game. You see what I'm saying? And it'll, you know, it's all good. So yeah, man, I think I'm gonna just go ahead and get off of here. You know, Carmelo Anthony is cooked. He should be justified to defend himself, but he's not. You know, they finna use his words against him. You know, they using his skin against him, and they gonna hang him. He gonna get guilty. They gonna probably give him like 25 years. You know, instead of life, we probably have the chance to get out. But you know, you took that knife to that school. You know, you did. He made a bad decision. He made a mistake. A mistake. You know, and that mistake is gonna cost him a few years, but he'll be able to get out and still live a productive life. You know, he's gonna have to sit down for a while. A while. I'm Travis Gotti. Thank you for tuning in. Travis Gotti Boxing. Like, subscribe, man.